Welcome to The Author Show, where we present new authors and books. From fiction to self-help and everything in between, you'll find it all here. To watch the TV version of our program, visit authorswebtv.com. That's authorswebtv.com. And now, let the show begin.
Hi, this is Linda Thompson, your host for The Author Show. Take a bit of romance, mystery, and suspense, add a touch of the military, and you have the ingredients for a really good curl-up-by-the-fire read. Such is Touched by a Phoenix, the debut novel of author Sophia Byron. Sophia joins us today to talk about her two main characters, Alexis and Brad, and their story of love, intrigue, and betrayal. Touched by a Phoenix is definitely my kind of book, so let's get started. Sophia, welcome to The Author Show.
Hi, Linda. Thank you so much for having me this afternoon. I really appreciate it, and I look forward to our little chat.
Sophia, please share with us a short overview of Touched by a Phoenix.
Touched by a Phoenix is an interesting story. It runs the gamut of genres. At its very core, it's a true love story about finding your other half, but it's full of thrills and intrigue and espionage and overcoming those internal darknesses that plague each one of us and fighting the evil that comes along with genius. Then you throw in this little splash of science fiction and some very steamy, passionate scenes, and you have the perfect read for most adults, in particular the female ones. But then you have this story of Brad fighting for love and humanity and, above all else, Alexis.
Sophia, this is your debut novel. Could you name any other author who may have influenced your writing style?
I have a couple of authors that I truly like. The Ruth Cardella series is absolutely fantastic, and I do like Kim Grosso. I like more of the paranormal. I like to read the paranormals, but I choose to write something entirely different.
If you were writing an article introducing Touched by a Phoenix, what would your headline be?
A romantic suspense that has a little bit of something for everyone.
Your book cover is a very interesting photo that touches on the erotic. Would you classify your book as romance, mystery, thriller, borderline erotic, or a little bit of each?
Probably a little bit of each. It does have a couple of love scenes that really push the boundaries between true romance and that erotic romance. But I feel like there's such a classy way it was written that it doesn't get derogatory or offensive in any way, but then you have all the mystery and the action, the suspense, and of course there's Rescue One, that artificial intelligent life form that gives us that bit of sci-fi touch to it.
Well, there's certainly nothing wrong with a little bit of steamy sex in a good book. So did you have a lot of input in the design of your cover?
I did. I gave the design artist pretty close to what I was looking for, and they were able to find the basic cover, and then we started tweaking from there, removing a few pieces, articles of clothing, adding the garter, giving her red hair, extending it, getting everything the way I thought it should be to represent Alexis, the fiery redhead that just broke the mold on female heroines.
While writing your book, did you have any particular type of reader in mind?
I was thinking more of your more mature females. It wasn't designed for those younger readers, and I'm finding that as the reviews come in, the maturity level has a definite telltale as to whether or not how much they enjoy the book. Life experience helps them relate to the story much more than the younger generation that hasn't quite gotten there yet and doesn't have that experience.
At 600 plus pages, your book is longer than most. Why did you choose to keep it in one and not split it out into 2 or 3?
Hindsight's 20/20. I wished I had done that now. But in all of my research before, and I spent months looking back and doing some research, finding out what readers liked and they didn't like, and I kept running across people that said they didn't appreciate having to buy one book after the other just to hear the whole story. So I did decide to go ahead and write one full novel give them everything start to finish. And I'd hoped that that might entice some people to go ahead and read the book, because you're paying less for, at $2.99, it's less for a full novel than it is to start buying a series at $2.99 or $3.99. And I did want to be able to offer them something that they couldn't get anywhere else.
Well, I commend you for your decision, because I can get really irritated when I get caught up in a series and the last page says, oh, next segment coming in 6 or 7 months or even a year from now. And I think, am I ever going to remember to go back and read it? So thanks for giving us the whole story all in one binder. So will Alexis and Brad return to us in a sequel or a series?
Yes. I had not originally planned to do that, and I had an alternate ending in the book. And my husband read that part, and he actually threw the Nook across the room. He said, "You are not going to do that. That will tick everybody off." So I backed up and I rewrote that last chapter a little bit, and in that, I left one question unanswered, and that is, who is the mastermind behind the terrorist attack and all of the espionage? And I'm going to take them on their journey so that, A, Alexis gets her happily ever after, but also so that we can see Rescue One's full capabilities in the conclusion.
So is that what you're working on now, and do you have a working title for it?
That is what I am working on now, and between that and all the PR for Touched by a Phoenix. But no, I don't have a title for it yet. I think I'm actually might let some beta readers help me with that title and the cover.
I understand that Touched by a Phoenix has won an award. Will you tell us about that?
Oh my goodness, that was a shock. I started out with Reader's Favorite to get some reviews and some feedback, and was never more surprised than when it ended up with 3 gold star reviews. So it went on to the contest, and my hope was that it would place in maybe the top 25% and kind of validate that insecurity of, I didn't suck at writing. And from there, it took months for it to sink in. And now that I even have the award, I still am not quite sure. I look at it every once in a while and it's going, wow, you actually did it. So that, to me, I'm still amazed. I'm very honored that it was voted and awarded the best romantic sizzler of the year. And it also puts a lot of pressure on you to live up to that expectation of what the readers hope for. So I'm hoping that I can follow up with the second novel that will be just as good and everything that the readers expect and hope.
Well, congratulations on the success of your first book. So you mentioned beta readers, and you also mentioned your husband throwing the Nook across the room. Do you let him read your drafts, and does he offer input that you use?
Oh my goodness, I could not have written this without him or his input. He read every word over and over and over again. So I'd write a paragraph or a scene. I usually didn't try to kill him every single day, but I'd get a scene down and a chapter down, and he'd come back and, Sophia, this doesn't make any sense. I don't understand what you're trying to say here, or where are you going with it, or what if you did this? And I took a lot of his input. He has a really good insight into what a military individual would think and or how they might feel. So it was good to have his input along the way, and I definitely could not have done it without him cleaning house, running to the grocery store, doing all the things that I would normally do around the house so that I could write.
You have a very fine husband, and you need to hang on to him. So can you offer some fairly technical details in the world of security in Touched by a Phoenix? Do you have a background in security, or what kind of research did you do to ensure believability?
Linda, if I told you that, I'd be in really big trouble. Does that answer your question?
Okay, that tells me, and you can answer this yes or no, that you are fairly familiar with the world of security.
Yes, ma'am, I am. My husband retired from the Air Force after 22 years, so we spent a great deal of time traveling the world. There were a lot of times I didn't know where he was. I knew his order said one thing, but I know he was going somewhere else. And it was after he retired before he could fill me in on a lot of the details. And we're very much in touch with the military aspects.
So, are your characters straight from your imagination, or do they tend to resemble people you know?
Brad and my husband are both very sexy heroes. So there's a bit of him in there, somewhat modeled about it. You know, Brad is the hero that every little girl grows up thinking, I'm going to marry my knight in shining armor. He's sexy, he's tall, he's dark, he's a playboy, but in all of that, he's a true gentleman behind the scenes. And that's what I think I know I wanted that when I was growing up, is that ideal guy. And I was very fortunate to have found it. And you're right, I'm not going to ever let him go. So the ladies can just sit back and they'll be waiting a long time. Alexis is everything I would ever hope to be. She's quite possibly the strongest heroine I've ever read about. She's intelligent, she's strong, she's confident. She went through a lot of tragedies, both in an early childhood at that 9-year-old range that she had to overcome, multiple back surgeries, learning to walk again and things. But then you have this ugly reality that so many women suffer that I'm not going to go into any great detail, but it was a very difficult chapter to write for her freshman year of college and some of that pain. But it's that kind of emotion that you tend to close yourself completely off from the rest of the world, and it takes someone special to be able to help you let those walls come down. And I know people say that time heals all wounds. Sometimes I don't believe that. I believe that sometimes it takes love to set you free from the past. And that was particularly important to me to get across in that message, was that there is that second chance for everyone to shut the door on the pain and the anger and the humiliation that wasn't necessarily your fault because someone else inflicted that kind of violent attack on you.
Is there any special meaning behind the title, Touched by a Phoenix?
Yes, actually, Brad is the Phoenix. His birthday falls in and puts him in that Scorpio. So there's 3 levels in the astrological signs. So there's the Scorpio, which is the sign Brad is born under. But as they mature, they represent the Phoenix, which is the coal, which in historical mythology, and I don't know that we'll ever know that it's true until we reach the hereafter, the coal was the only bird or the only animal that never ate from the forbidden fruit in the Garden of Eden. So therefore, he was granted eternal life. There's this constant rebirth every 500 years. And in order to do so, you have to sink to your lowest point so that you can rise from the ashes. And that's what Brad does in the book.
Is Touched by a Phoenix similar to anything else we may have read?
Not that I'm aware of. I can't think of one book that covers the gamut of genres that Touched by a Phoenix touches. And there's a lot of touches in there. I've had a few readers tell me that it just is a genre-hopping roller coaster ride, that it just covers a little bit of everything. So it is uniquely different, and I think it's going to take a special type of person to truly enjoy the entire novel.
What are some of the comments that you've received from readers of Touched by a Phoenix?
I can tell you what my mother has said. My mother said, she was so cute when she said this. She basically broke it down into 2 quarters and a half. The first 3 or 4 chapters were descriptive and somewhat slow, Sophia, but the last 6 or 7 chapters were great. And she went on to tell me, I don't know how you came up with all that stuff, but it really was good. I had to laugh at her. She skipped right over the middle part, which is where all of the steamy love scenes were, and went on to tell me that next time you really should just start at the end. What are you supposed to say to that? So, like, leave it to my mother to be discreet.
Well, good for Mom. So, what makes your book stand out in a crowd?
There is, of course, the Reader's Favorite Award, which tells people that it's the best romantic sizzler of 2015. And then there are people that describe it as pure perfection or Sophia Byron rocked this book, and it never ceases to amaze me to hear them compare it to TV shows such as 24 or Battlestar Galactica, and I think one even compared it to a James Bond movie, which was a totally awesome thing to read. I'm reading that they're saying things like, it should be made into a movie, and my only goal was to take readers on this incredible journey of two people falling in love and making them feel something. So those kind of reviews are just overwhelming, but they tell me that I've achieved my goals regardless of how many sales I ever receive or reviews I ever receive off of it. The ones that have come through have been phenomenal. So I'm hoping that people will enjoy the Brad Alexis rescue one, and watching that uniquely connected couple grow together and fight to protect the one thing that they can't live without, and that's each other.
Where can we learn more about you, and where can we purchase Touched by a Phoenix?
Well, Touched by a Phoenix is currently available in paperback and ebook on Amazon and Goodreads. I'll be releasing it to Barnes & Noble, iBook, and Smashwords later this month. And if anybody wants to find me, I'm always available on Facebook at Official Sophia Byron, Twitter or Google at Sophia Byron. And I'm currently working on the website. Hopefully we will have that completed by the end of this month.
Sophia, we've had a great conversation today, and I really want to thank you for joining us. Touched by a Phoenix is a book that I'm sure many of our listeners will want to read. I know I do. Will you please come back to chat again when you release your next book?
I would love to, Linda. Thank you. And thank you again for having me today. It was such a wonderful experience to sit here and chat with you and hopefully help a few readers realize that there is this in-depth, layered plot with all these twists and turns that'll keep them engaged until the very end. But if I could give people one piece of advice, if you need to take a break, do so before you hit chapter 19. Because after that, you're done.
Touched by a Phoenix by Sophia Byron fits into many different genres: women's fiction, action, suspense, romance, and yes, even a bit of erotica. Byron's first novel brings a new style to modern fiction by weaving a substantial plot with strong, believable characters and exceptional word choices. The combination of genres adds another layer of interest to an expertly written novel. I was surprised to learn that this is Byron's first novel. My verdict? Byron's Touched by a Phoenix is a 5-star book that needs to be read by fans of erotica and action thrillers alike. It is a lengthy novel, but it is well worth the me time. That was from an online review I found, and I couldn't think of a better way to close out our show today. This is Linda Thompson, concluding another edition of The Author Show. Please share this interview with your friends and family so that they too may have the opportunity to discover our guest and her work. And why not help spread the word on social media as well? Please join us again next time for another exciting author and another great book on The Author Show.
Thanks for listening to The Author Show. To contact us, call toll-free 1-877-955-8800. That's 877-955-8800. Or visit theauthorshow.com. That's theauthorshow.com. Tune in next time to another great author on The Author Show.